Today, we're diving into Parmy Olson's fantastic book, Supremacy, to really get under the hood of the AI revolution. We're going to unpack how a beautiful, idealistic dream for humanity's future got tangled up and captured by corporate power. You know, the original vision for artificial general intelligence, or AGI, was incredibly utopian. This quote from DeepMind's Demis Hassabis really says it all. The goal was almost mythic, right? Build a machine that could solve intelligence itself, and then use it to cure diseases, unlock the secrets of physics, basically tackle all of humanity's biggest problems. But as you can imagine, that idealistic dream ran headfirst into the hard realities of money and power. So let's break down how, according to Olson's reporting, that beautiful dream was pretty systematically co-opted. To really understand this story, we have to start with the two main architects of this race for AGI. They both wanted to build the future, but they had very, very different ideas about how to do it. So, on one side, you've got Sam Altman of OpenAI. He's the classic Silicon Valley entrepreneur, totally laser-focused on creating what he called economic abundance. Then, on the other side, you have Demis Hassabis of DeepMind, more of a quiet, introspective scientist driven to unlock the fundamental truths of the universe. And these weren't just different goals, they led to completely different ways of building things. And you can see how their methods perfectly reflected their goals, right? Altman used that classic startup playbook from his Y Combinator days. Move fast, release products like ChatGPT out into the wild quickly, and then figure it out as you go. Hassabis, meanwhile, took a much slower, more cautious, scientific approach. He was deeply worried about the risks of rushing this powerful tech to market. But here's the fascinating thing. Despite their wildly different philosophies, both of these founders eventually slammed into the exact same insurmountable problem. Building and training modern AI models requires a level of computing power that is it's off the charts. We're talking about massive, massive data centers, fleets of specialized chips, the kind of thing that no nonprofit or even a venture-backed startup could ever afford on its own. It's a resource game, and at the end of the day, only the giants can really play. That reality hit OpenAI hard. To stay in the race, the company, which started as a nonprofit, remember, had to take a staggering $13 billion investment from Microsoft. It was a move that, as Olson documents, would change its mission forever. And this is what Olson so brilliantly calls the Faustian bargain. It's that moment where these labs, born from pure idealism, essentially trade their souls for the corporate power they need to compete. The long-term cost of that bargain? Well, that's really the central question of this whole story. And DeepMind's story? It's remarkably similar. Despite Hassabis' best efforts to keep his lab independent, it was ultimately pulled deeper and deeper into Google's corporate vortex. Its mission was slowly rerouted to serve Google's own strategic goals. Okay, so what are the real-world consequences of all this? What actually happens when just two massive corporations, Microsoft and Google, effectively control the future of artificial intelligence? Well, their control is pretty much total. They don't just own the famous AI labs. They own the entire supply chain. They've got the cloud infrastructure, the mountains of proprietary data, and the advanced chips. This creates a kind of resource lock-in that makes it almost impossible for any truly independent competitor to even show up. But according to Olson's analysis, the biggest threat isn't some sci-fi movie scenario with rogue robots. No, it's something much more subtle, and it's happening right now. It's this critical difference between what people call AI safety and AI ethics. See, the industry loves to talk about safety, that abstract, far-off fear of a superintelligence gone wrong. Olson calls this safety theater because it's a great distraction from the real, immediate harms their products are causing today. Things like baked-in bias, misinformation, and surveillance. So the result is that this relentless race for profit and market share means that unchecked, flawed, and biased AI is being rushed into really critical parts of our lives, like law, medicine, and education, long before it's actually ready for prime time. So, faced with this corporate capture, Olson's analysis doesn't just diagnose the problem, which is great. It also gives us a pretty clear path forward for policymakers and, for the public. She proposes 3 key interventions. First, use antitrust laws. Treat this massive computing power like a public utility to break the monopoly that locks everyone else out. Second, force radical transparency. Make it law that these companies have to disclose the data they train on so we can all see the bias that's built right into the system. And third, set up truly independent oversight boards that have real veto power to stop unsafe AI before it causes harm. Because look, if the stories of OpenAI and DeepMind teach us anything, it's that good intentions are simply no match for the immense gravitational pull of corporate profit. The system itself has to change. And that leaves us with one final, really crucial question. As this technology gets embedded into every corner of our lives, who actually gets to set the terms? Who decides what we as a society are willing to pay for supremacy?